Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Esaala Bros, an RCB fan podcast where I interview a bunch of RCB fans and I'm waiting to hear what their thoughts are, especially when the RCB takes on Chennai Super Kings. It's a big game, Battle of the Kaveri Derby. Well, what are you looking forward to, Vinay?
Well, we changed the name, we changed the game. As you know,
Right.
RCB changed their name from Royal Challengers Bangalore to Bengaluru. Now, ಹೆಸರು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
So, do you actually think the numerology has started to work? The WPL, the women's team, was nowhere near qualifying for the playoffs, especially when 20 was required of 18 balls in that game versus MI women. And then suddenly things changed, and now RCB have gone and won a tournament. So, are you still basking in the glory of what happened last week?
Absolutely, yes. The whole city is. And if more than numerology, I think the belief will work. Suddenly, I think there is, from the franchisee, there's this belief that, yeah, we can do it after
Right, right.
16 years.
Right, and I remember Vinay and I were at the RCB cafe that weekend watching the WPL final, and it was unreal scenes, man. For a franchisee, especially the fans who've been waiting for it, I think suddenly you've seen light at the end of the tunnel, and just like every year, maybe this saal, is Sala Cup Namde.
Namdu,
Namdu's after you've got it, but Namde, is it possible? Is probably the question you're asking, right?
yes.
Right. Okay. Now that you guys have got a name change, your other team has actually your women's team has gone and won an IPL. I'm really interested to see how did some of the games pan out last year, and how much of that team is there this year. Of course, you don't have Harshal Patel, we don't have Josh Hazelwood. Um, these guys, along with Mohammad Siraj, I think made your bowling look fairly good. With that, you guys won 7 games out of 14. Now you've taken these guys, you've taken Hazelwood out. You've also taken Harshal Patel out. How do you rate your bowling attack this year?
Sure. So, well, when we went into the auction, we assumed the bowling attack will transform. Now the question is, has it transformed? Only time will tell. Because even as an RCB fan, I'm a little bit on the wall. If you think about the last year's bowling attack, one guy who stood out every time was Siraj. It's the
Absolutely.
power play where we took wickets with very low economy. But the power only you got played in the power play. After that, there was no power.
Listen, Siraj,
7 to 20.
I think, see, fair point on Siraj. In fact, Siraj was your power play as well as depth. I think he'll be there in the top five bowlers. If you were to look at an economy rate versus strike rate, even in power play, even at the depth. But yes, Siraj was a standout bowler. But that's why I feel okay without that, without Josh Hazelwood and Harshal Patel, has your bowling regressed a bit? Because right now you probably have space for only one fast bowler from overseas, because you're definitely going to play Cameron Green, Faf du Plessis, and Glenn Maxwell. So even though you have a wealth of fast bowling options with Tom Curran, with Reece Topley, with Alzari Joseph, you can only play one of
Rocky
them.
Ferguson.
Lockie Ferguson, you can only play one of them.
Absolutely true, but I would not completely agree with your point of whether it's regressed. I think it's sort of we are trying to progress. I'll tell you why. Because Harshal Patel or Josh Hazelwood did not contribute much in terms of economy or wickets. If you see, the wickets primarily were picked by two guys. In the beginning by Siraj, in the end by Karan Sharma. And Harshal Patel picked a few wickets, but with a, I think, economy of 11.5 or 12. So you could say that people lost wickets trying to hit him. Did he pick wickets? Is questionable, right? We are trying something new, and it could possibly be a little more progressive because going with the same formula which we did last year, we know what happened in terms of the performance after the 10th over was very different the first 10 overs. There is a new dimension that we are trying to explore.
And is this new dimension something that you guys really wanted, or were you guys forced into taking Cameron Green?
Well, you only you have to go ask two guys who possibly sat down and negotiated that. I don't know. I don't know if we want it, but if you think about, so here is another point though. If we try to move away from the jokes and try to look at stats of Cameron Green, there are two big things that Green brings in, which can change the dimension. One, if you look at his stats, he's phenomenal in the last 6 overs. His strike rate in the last 6 overs, 220 or 230, right? So you have a backup to DK. Last year, the only reason we didn't chase those 195 or 200 is because the finishing was not there. Until 14th over, we looked we will win, and then it all sunk. So we have a backup option. He solves for that problem. And if you look at bowling stats of Cameron Green, is pretty decent between 7 to 14.
Right.
He doesn't pick up many wickets, but he's not too expensive. So he's little decent as that second bowler who can tighten the screws and keep it.
Right. And I think that's an interesting point where you mentioned that, you're finishing games, because I remember the game that we went to last year, which was the RCB CSK game. Chasing 226, it looked like RCB was almost about to win the game, and then they just collapsed. And you even though you had Suyash Prabhudesai and a couple of other people, DK I think got caught at long off. Somehow you just didn't have enough firepower at the end to bat the way Maxi or Faf were batting.
It was the same formula. Even in the last match against Gujarat, we lost it in the last 5-6 overs.
Right. And I think as you mentioned this point, I was actually taking a look at some minor sub trend where I was decoding how was RCB's year in 2023. So whenever they had the opportunity to chase under due against an opposition that was not in its best form, especially for that game. For example, MI, they usually take some time to warm up. They played MI as their first game. Subpar opposition, 180 total. They chased very well against MI and SRH. So there were like two games that came easily to RCB. And whenever they were chasing above 195 plus against high quality attacks like KKR twice and then CSK, they lost. Secondly, I think whenever they were defending under lights on flat tracks, which are high scoring 190 plus games, they lost versus LSG, very close game. Of course, that's where I think a lot of anger, brewed up between Gautam Gambhir and Virat Kohli. The LSG game, then the GT last game that you had been to last year. Then I think there was one away game with DC and an away game at Wankhede with MI. So I think at Chinnaswamy, whatever total you give, RCB doesn't feel very confident with that bowling lineup. But what they really did well was, I think we went for the DC RCB game also. That was the first game where RCB scored about 174 or so, even though they had like a kind of just about par total. The team that they were playing were so bad that they ended up messing their chase. So I looked at those 4 victories that have come for RCB last year came in day games where the bowlers are not made to look as bad. If you're a good bowler in a day game, the dew is not coming and spoiling. So 4 of their victories were on a day game. With I think the game was the DC, PBKS, RR, and then the one versus I think twice against RR, where I think you guys won by close to 100 runs in that game, where they were bowled out for 50 plus. And one game versus Lucknow, where I think there was no KL Rahul. So that way, I think RCB is like pounces like a lion on a weak animal. But when it comes to a bigger animal, I still don't think they have that confidence. That is from last year, but things could have changed this year. So do you think?
No, I agree with what you're saying. But here's a question to you. Even if you bowled a full toss, you have to hit a 6 now.
Right.
It won't go for 6 on its own. So yes, they have at least the closing capabilities. Now, the games that we lost, for example, KKR you brought up, right? KKR, I think, was 60 for 5 or 60 for 6.
89 for 5, and then Shardul Thakur scored that.
That's the same problem, right? First 10 was amazing. And then Shardul Thakur, I think, got, I don't know, 90 or 100 or something.
No, 69 of 28 balls. 69 of 28 balls.
Single-handedly took that total that far, right? I thought the game was done and dusted, and it was 61 for 5 or 6. So, point is that getting games go away because of those last 10 overs of both batting and bowling.
Right. And I think this year, I'm not sure what kind of a track we're going to have at the first game, because in Chepauk, we've seen that 2023 had a lot of flat decks. 170 was like your median score. 200 plus, you definitely win. But in 2021, when the games were played at Chepauk, 130 to 150 was your average score. And 150 was in fact a winning score. So I don't know what kind of a deck you have, but if it's again going to be a flat deck, you have Dew, then I'm slightly worried for RCB if they have the middle overs arsenal and the death over arsenal to basically, take on a team that is as well oiled as CSK. Do you get that fear
I
sometimes?
understand. I understand, but then my counterpoint to that is one. I feel that it will be a flat track because it's the first match. The pitch wouldn't have worn down. I'm assuming it will be a. If you see average score in Chennai, it's pretty much equal. I think the difference is only 10 runs, first inning and second inning. If you take past 20, 25 games, it's 170 and 156 or 160, something like that. So, which goes to show that Dew doesn't play a big role, right? You can argue that if the difference in the average runs is not too high. So, I feel the only weapon RCB has is to outbat Chennai. So even if they are not great on the middle or death overs, the point is having six. They've got Rajat coming back. So the batting lineup is pretty phenomenal if you look at from 1 to 7. So you just have to outbat Chennai. Here, I don't think RCB have the wherewithal to outbowl, and don't know if they'll surprise us with either Alzari or Reese Topley, somebody doing something in conjunction with Siraj. But the formula should be to outbat, which they clearly can do.
We've seen this thing before also where RCB just has that one bowler shot and it kind of costs them the game. And we've seen this as a recurring thread because I remember Virat Kohli was used as a death bowler in a RCB CSK game, went for 20 odd runs. Then there was this Corey Anderson who was used as a death bowler and Dhoni basically clobbered him. So that way I feel RCB sometimes underestimate the amount of bowling required. They've always been a batting heavy side full of stars. And again, now they've got an extra star apart from Faf, Kohli and Maxwell. They have Cameron Green also right now in the mix. And if Rajat Patidar is also able to, improve his white ball form, then as you say, you have a batting lineup to die for. Literally, it's a great batting lineup that is there. But yes, coming back to your ideal or probable 11 against CSK, do you think we should discuss CSK's 11 for which you will then decide what will be the ideal RCB 11?
See, that place batting is very clear. I don't think there is an ambiguity on who they will pick. RCB, right? It's a bowling which becomes like a tricky five to decide. But if you take CSK, generally, I think fast bowlers have got more wickets. So RCB, I feel, will go for whichever 11 CSK plays. I think RCB will go with ability to have four fast bowlers. With Siraj, one of the foreign bowlers between Topley or Alzari Joseph / Lockie Ferguson. And then you have, based on who they pick, I think they'll pick either Yash Dayal and Vijay Kumar. And those are and with Cameron Green. So these are the options that they have. Now, whether you pick Yash Dayal or Vijay Kumar, then comes the nuance of what is the side Chennai has. Right? Whether you pick Alzari or Topley, that is juxtaposed into what Chennai has.
Right. I think I am right now inclined to have somebody like Reese Topley because I've seen Ruturaj Gaikwad and Ajinkya Rahane sometimes fall prey to tall left-arm bowlers swinging the ball in. Because I remember Trent Boult back in 2020 and 2021 IPL, he had that matchup against Ruturaj Gaikwad. And sometimes I feel it's a walking wicket if you're having a left-arm tall, fast bowler bowling to him. So that way, I feel that if CSK are batting first, you might want to restrict the number of runs that at least their top order gives you because they've been having a very stable top order. So that way, I thought Reese Topley would make sense even if you still want Dayal. I was thinking Vaishak Vijay Kumar would definitely come in for Mahipal Romero because you're assuming you have Faf, Virat, Patidar, Maxwell, Green, Dinesh Karthik. You don't need anybody else to still prop up the batting. And Vaishak Vijay Kumar.
If you need, then you're really not playing the game right.
Right. And still, if you want a bowler to help you apart from having Vaishak Vijay Kumar, Mayank Dagar, your Reese Topley, Mohammad Siraj, and Yash Dayal, Karan Sharma. So I think that way, Karan Sharma for Rajat Patidar as a impact sub, I think gives them the better chances of trying to take on Chennai because as we feel bowling is something where they need to make sure that they have the right combination to go play and win more than those 7 games.
Absolutely, it's like I was thinking about this morning. If you have like a screw to hammer into a hole, RCB today has many screws. We have 7 bowlers or 8 bowlers, but the point is to find the right one. I think that is going to be the season to discover saying which is the right fit. I think they have many options from a bowling perspective as well. The question is what is the right fit. I think that's the they will discover it as the season progresses. I think. Having said that, with CSK game, CSK also is usually like this lukewarm starter, right? Whereas RCB is this Dhamal starter. First 3 matches, you'll feel like RCB is going to take away the tournament, and then suddenly reality strikes. But CSK is the other way around. They slowly build into the tournament.
Right. I was also hearing that MS Dhoni could come in at 3. So that's why I was very interested to see if MS Dhoni is coming in at 3 and he wants to score quickly in a bid to, get more runs on the board. Then having a leg spinner like Karan Sharma to stifle him up could be a good matchup. But we never know. I think only when we get to the stadium that day on Friday evening and see these guys practicing will we know who's exactly going to come. But yeah, my verdict is RCB bat first. They start off with 14 overs, 140, and then they still under deliver. They score a 160, 170. CSK, due to its confusion, manages to somehow get close and then still chase it, but win it in the 18th or the 19th over, thereby making it look like the difference between the sides is little. That's what it did. It happened last year, where CSK just happened to win the crunch moments as such. But yeah, that's just my perception of what could happen. Well, do you have any wish or any other match from the
What
past
I
that
would
you?
14 overs, 140. I think Cameron Green is going to bring the color.
Cameron Green, okay.
As I said, RCB has a lot of weapons, a lot of arsenals. Actually, they just have to find the right fitment, and I think that will happen as tournament evolves. For this game, I don't see them going with any other option other than Faf on top.
Got it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this game, trying to see what's going to happen. I hope you liked what we were speaking. If you think there's something else that you'd like to hear on this podcast, we'll also be doing this right after the game. Please do put in a comment and let us know how exactly or what do you want to hear in this podcast. Till then, are you going to sign off when I'm saying Esaala Cup Namde?
No, the cup is ours. No, I'm not going to say that.
Wow. I love that confidence that the RCB fans are having heading into the IPL that's about to start in a couple of days. See you around.
Game, set, and match day.